Warmly welcoming you to How Does She Do It, the podcast, with me, your host, Jo Ferroni. Join me on my journey as I explore finding a gentle balance in both business and life, because being kind to ourselves is our superpower. Before I introduce my gorgeous guest today, I wanted to mention a few things going on with me over here at How Does She Do It right now. I've been overjoyed to have welcomed so many wonderful women to my in-person networking events, which I've recently returned to after the long break during the pandemic. It's been such a treat to reunite with women, but also welcoming new guests as well. It's also reminded me how very important and special events like these are to the lives and the businesses of women. I'd really love to welcome you too. Our events are currently taking place in Kingston, Woking and Guildford in Surrey. And so if any of these are reachable for you, please do check out the events page on the How Does She Do It website to find out when they're happening. I also wanted to share that I'm actively involved in complimentary discovery calls right now for my next round of the group mastermind program, and also one-to-one sessions with you all too. If you'd like to find out more and to see if there's a fit for you and your business right now, please do drop me a direct message or head to my website where you can fill in the contact form. I would really love to hear from you. My guest this week is Izi Friend. Izi runs the Piltatiz Tribe, which offers online Pilates at home or on the go. Izi created this flexible space to ease any aches and pains and help you achieve a supple body and an adaptable mind. It was through her own health challenges that she came to find something that made an incredible difference to her life, and so she went on to train and offer this gift to so many others, and it's been a beautiful and rewarding part of her journey so far. Izi has been making a point of starting her day right for a few years now, and I don't doubt that focusing on that helped her to make a big and brave move during the worldwide pandemic, which we talk about today. In this heartfelt and vulnerable conversation, Izi shares so much and offers hints and tips for you all as well. Please check out the show notes for Izi's links, but if you'd like a sneaky peek now, then you can find her on Instagram at Izi Friend. Enjoy the show, and if you like what you hear on this or any of my episodes, please take a moment to share with a friend, or maybe share on social media too. It would mean the absolute world to me if you did. And don't forget, tag me at How Does She Do It Life so I can say thank you too. Izi, welcome to the podcast. It is so gorgeous to have you and to see you here on the screen. I know not everyone else can see you, but I'm very grateful to see you this morning. How are you?
I am so good, and it is such a pleasure to be here. It's so funny that you say about being seen, because this morning I woke up and I was like, oh my God, podcast recording. What do I wear? Just be comfortable.
Always be comfortable. And that is the beauty of podcast, isn't it?
Isn't it? I love this already.
And just to set the scene, Izi and I are sat here, both with our hair in a top knot, both looking very chilled and very much looking forward to our conversation, I'd say. So I think it's always important that we kind of set the scene. And as people will have heard in the introduction, Pilates is your thing. And I would love us to kind of go back to how you got into Pilates in the first place.
Yeah, Pilates is my thing, and Pilates has taken me to places I never, ever imagined being. I got into Pilates probably 15 years ago now. I hurt my back, so I was told to do Pilates, so I did Pilates. And then I stopped because I felt so good. So I hurt my back again. So I did Pilates, and I went on and on in this vicious cycle for years. And it wasn't just like a little twinge in my back. It would be flat out for days, drugged up, couldn't do anything. And when you're like late teens, early 20s, that is pretty rubbish. So I was working in London at the time in a job I didn't really enjoy, but it had a gym on site and they had Pilates classes every day. So we were on to a winner. And then I thought I might as well just do my training for myself, a bit more understanding. And it kind of all just happened from there. I did my training. Halfway through, one of the lovely ladies I was doing it with, she announced that she was having a baby and she needed someone to cover some classes for 3 months. And at this point, one, I hadn't qualified, so it felt like a big fat no in my head. And two, I was in full-time employment. Like, how the hell could I do her work? And I think I was commuting every day for an hour and a half. Like, how the hell do you fit all of that into life? So I quit my job, took on her work, and then built up stuff myself. And then that was 5 years ago, 5 years in July, which is bonkers. And then here we are today.
Wow, I've got a lot to just kind of come back to there. First of all, is that cycle, you call it a vicious cycle of doing the work to ease the pain, and then it getting better, and then almost feeling like you could tick that box, that's done. Is that cycle that repeats itself something that can be quite common?
I would say so. From working with the clients that I have, who are all such amazing people, like, they fill me up so much with their dedication. And I'd say, actually, like, not even just with like Pilates and pain, but just life in general, we're very quick to be like, oh my gosh, I feel so much better, and then we start to sabotage it. And I've, the last couple of years, got a lot into, like, why do we sabotage things? Like, what is it that I don't like about things going well?
Yeah.
Like, not being in pain. Why do I feel that I have to be in pain? And that's I won't go into it now, because I could go into it for hours and hours. But the physical side, the building the strength, and, you know, I'd do something really silly that maybe I shouldn't have done, which would hurt me. But I then started to look at what's going on in my life at those times. And I just noticed this pattern of things felt completely out of control, and I was overwhelmed, and I was so tired, and it felt like just a little bit of burnout, and then again a bit more burnout and a bit more burnout. And it literally was my body's way of going, just stop. So I kind of started to work that out in myself. But then with clients, it was the same pattern. Look what's happening with your life. You've hurt yourself. Okay, so, you know, we can do the physical bits to help you, but there is so much with the mind-body connection that it just, oh my gosh, it's so exciting once you start to work those patterns out. So your life just transforms like you could never, ever imagine.
I love that. And it sounds really fascinating to me that you were commuting, you were, you know, up in London in your job, and it was at that time that you were having your problems with your body as well. It sounds almost like a silver lining to that job, that you had that access to the gym and to the Pilates as well. How did things start to change for you when you did start practicing Pilates and then essentially start the training as well? Did you notice results immediately, or was it something that was a slow build?
It was a slow build. The time between every time I would hurt my back got longer and longer, which was great. So it wasn't as common.
Yeah.
The pain was a lot less, until the point that now I can feel a little niggle, and I'm like, okay, what's going on? So, for example, actually on Sunday, I was like, oh my gosh, my back hurts. And previously that, instantly, complete reaction. Oh my gosh, all the expletives that I won't go through now. They, I'd be like, what have I done? What's going to happen? I'm going to be in bed in 24 hours, not be able to move. The area where I've moved down to here in Cornwall, I know lots of people, but when you're still quite new to an area, it's a bit scary being like, can you go and get me painkillers? Because I've had that feels very vulnerable. So all this panic would previously come up. Whereas now it's like, okay, got a little niggle. what is going on. Like, let's just pause and breathe. Like, that is ultimately the best thing that you can do in any situation that doesn't feel right, is you just breathe. And then the answers start to come. Saturday, and I do this every year, I wore flip-flops all day. I know that flip-flops just feel rubbish for me. Like, you have no support through them. I felt a bit stressed about a couple of things. Like, all these things were coming to head. And my body was literally like, just stop. And if you're not going to stop, I will make you stop. So I stopped and I chilled out, and my flip-flops are still downstairs. They're for like little short things, like, putting the bins out, being on the beach, not spending the whole day. Because I know, but every year at the beginning of summer, spring, whatever season we're in, I think maybe this is the year that I can wear flip-flops all the time. No, Izzy, get over yourself. So yeah, I just paused, breathe, check in. Okay, I know a couple of exercises I need to do. I just need to get in my journal, write a few things down, and then I just need to lie in the sun and read. And I did. And by the end of the day, I felt amazing.
I sense there is, well, something that came up for me whilst you were speaking just then was that I recognized that maybe combined with you coming to the end of your, let's say, city career, let's call it that for a minute, and really looking after your body and then looking at the training and what have you, you became more awake, more aware of that mind-body connection, of maybe the things that were screaming out to you before and you didn't notice because of the way that you were living life, the way that so many of us live life.
Absolutely, yeah.
Was, it might have been loud then, but there was something else that was louder around you. But it sounds as though now you've turned that completely around so that you even hear the quietest of whispers. And that means you can get in sooner, isn't it? Taking the action to then alleviate all manner of things that could have come up if you'd have not listened, not taken that early action. I really love that.
Absolutely. And you say about whispers, those we live, or like a lot of people, I have previously been that person, live such a fast-paced life that those whispers, they are nothing. And I say this to clients all the time. Those whispers are like that small child that just wants a little bit of your attention. So they come up to you and they're like, can you play with me? And you're like, no, too busy, like, go away. And so they like go away for a bit, and then they come back and they're like, no, please play with me. I'm really, really bored. No, too busy for you. Go away. Got to do this. Got to do that. And they just keep coming back, and they keep coming back, and they keep coming back, and they get a little bit louder every time. But you're still busy, and a bit louder, and you're still busy. And then they scream and they have that meltdown, and you're like, well, what's wrong with you? You've had what? 10, 20, 30, 50, 100, 1,000, opportunities to just give that child a tiny bit of attention. It doesn't need much. It might just need a little hug or, whatever it is. And then they go on their way. They're perfectly happy. And I relate that to physical pain. I relate that to anxiety, depression, all of these things that we just brush aside. And then they have no choice but to absolutely bite us on the bum.
Izzy, I'd love you to share with my listeners. Well, it's the reason that I got to know you actually by hearing this story. I'd love you to just give us a bit of an overview about what changed so much during the pandemic, wasn't it?
During the pandemic.
Could you tell us about your big and bold move that literally the goosebumps are surging through me as I say that, because I am just so happy for you that you made it, and so proud of you as a woman that you made it as well. So please tell my listeners.
Thank you. They are the nicest words. So during the pandemic, that was a fun time. Hey, if I'm honest with you, I, for lots of reasons, enjoyed the pandemic. Don't get me wrong, I know it was really tough for lots of people, but I really believe that you can make whatever out of a situation. So when it happened, I was like, right, this is not going to bring me down. This is not going to ruin my business. So previously I was teaching clients face-to-face, doing some corporate work, private clients, group, like everything. And loads of people kept saying to me, I think you should go online. And I was like, no way would I ever teach online. Well, that changed overnight, didn't it?
It did.
So all my work went online, like I know it did with a lot of people. And I just thought, I'll put free things out on social media. And to do that, I cannot tell you the fear that came up. Oh my gosh. Because I was so used to my clients in my little studio, in their houses, like it was very safe. Suddenly it was like, well, billions of people have got the potential to see me. And whilst I can come across very confident, I'm actually quite a private person. Like I like to keep things within my like circle. You know, I'll share what I share, but there are things that I just don't have the need to share. And I just adore supporting people. And I was like, this is a really, really good chance to just show people what is possible, especially if you've been in pain. So did lots of free things. And then people were like, Izzy, we want to pay you. I was like, no, please don't pay me. No, that's just too much, because I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. And then one woman was like, right, just give me your bank details. I'm just going to transfer you money. And I was like, okay. But that gave me a really good kick out the butt of, right, you can make something of this. So I just started a Facebook group. People can like pay on a monthly subscription. And I started what I call the Piltatiz Tribe. And then that was kind of going. Then we came out of lockdown for a bit. I think I get a bit jumbled up. And I was like, I don't want to be living in Sussex, but I also can't get overseas. So where should I go? Okay, I'll just go to Cornwall. So I came down to Cornwall for 10 days to, well, what was going to be like a little recce of where to live, but I sat on a beach for 10 days instead, which evidently is what I needed. Went back to Sussex and I was like, I just need to live near the sea, near beautiful beaches. The people in the southwest are so divine. The way of life, just, I don't know, I felt like I could breathe being down here. So I just decided I was going to move down. Had no idea where to. I don't know, I think I found a holiday home for 6 weeks, moved down at the end of October 2020, didn't know anyone in the area, and moved down by myself with my dog with zero plans. I mean, who the hell knew how it was going to go? But in my heart, it was the right thing. There was so much doubt from other people, so much fear from other people.
I was going to ask if other people maybe did put their own fears and doubts and possibly expectations.
Absolutely. It's been probably the most challenging part, detaching myself from, and like not even actually with the move, but just I sometimes find in life, like the hardest part is detaching myself from what other people think. You know, how are people going to react? Who am I going to upset by doing things? All of these things, because I don't like upsetting people, and I don't want to be that person that's like, well, look at her, look what she's doing, la, la, la. But that is me. And I can't help it. So it's been, there's a lot of people along the way that have like gone in on their own path. I'm on my own path. There are people that I haven't spoken to for years who are suddenly getting in touch. This is so cool. There's people that I haven't seen for years who are like, can we come and visit? And I'm like, absolutely. And I think the biggest learning with that is the fears, the doubts, the questions that people ask. That is their stuff, number one. But quite often it's because they don't feel that they could do it.
Yeah.
Because they don't feel they can do it, they give you all of the doubt and all of the fear that is in them. And you just have to put up, I don't like the word barrier because it feels like so fixed.
Maybe protection.
Like you have to just almost like be in your little bubble. Their stuff just, it bounces off to wherever it wants to go.
Yeah.
So yeah, that bit has challenged me a lot along the way. I got down here, it was raining, it was dark, and I remember I drive along this same road most days, and I remember just being like, where the hell am I going? Like, what am I doing with my life? But I'm 2 minutes from the house, so I might as well go and get in it. And then moved down on the Friday. On the Monday, Boris announced that we were going back into lockdown.
Gosh.
And if I'm honest, that is probably the best thing that could have happened. It made me meet people in the area, and people were around. It's a great community down here. I mean, I've got the dog, so many people out walking. A lot of people swim. So I have made just the most insane friendships that I genuinely don't think I would have made if they were out all the time. Like, it would have felt very lonely. So it was kind of forced, but in a really loving way.
Yeah. I really loved what you said about, being what your heart needed. And I can't help but believe that whenever we're in a state of discomfort, worry, maybe that fear or concern about what others think about us, if we can just get quiet and go to our heart, that really is where the truth is rooted for us.
Absolutely.
And it sounds like you have gone inward on more than one occasion during this time and really trusted and believed that it was the right thing to do. The other thing before we move on that really strikes me is that you said, I've got the dog, and so lots of people are out walking dogs. I love to swim. Lots of people are swimming. That is back to basics. And I'm a really big fan of stepping off the busy train, the technological online all the time kind of vibe, and having real conversations with real people. And of course, you've got that connection, you've got the dogs, you like the water, you're all based in the same area, especially when we were in lockdown and people weren't traveling everywhere. It almost feels like the stars aligned for you, and you were able to experience and immerse yourself in something that went so much deeper than perhaps you had been in, I don't know, the months leading up to you leaving Sussex.
Absolutely.
So let's move on to our topic for today. Something that we share in common, actually, the talk of morning routines. Yeah. And I should imagine that having a morning routine has been more beneficial than you could have wished for, considering you'd made the big move as well. So talk to me about how long you've had your morning routine. What does it mean to you? And has it evolved over time?
I've always been a morning person, and I wouldn't say I had previously had a conscious morning routine until about probably August before I moved down here, maybe September. I used to, like, London days, get up early, go to the gym, like really good start to the day, but it just felt good. And I just did it, and people were like, well, it's a really good start, so do it. Okay, yeah, I'll do it, like jump on that bandwagon. And then before I moved down here, I hadn't even been down on like the little holiday before, but it was like, I know that I am moving soon. I know that I'm moving by myself, and I know that I'm moving to an area that I don't know anyone. It is very easy to spend the morning in bed. Like, a lot of my like work and stuff would be from maybe like lunchtime into the evenings. So, it's really nice if you get to spend the morning in bed once in a while. So I don't feel that I have to get up. It was something that I really had to do for myself. And then again, I feel like the stars all aligned and stuff. And I came across a book called The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. I think you say his name.
That is how you say it. Absolutely.
And that is what first got me into, let's have like a conscious morning routine. Let's start the day right. So he has, I think it's 6 or 7 principles. I've got them written down because I can never remember them. He believes that every morning, if we started with silence, affirmations, visualization, exercise, reading, and scribing, or like writing or journaling, like it sets you up for the day. So I was like, right, I'm going to try it. And it absolutely set me up for the day.
Isn't it magical? I read his book about 5 years ago, so it's what started me as well.
So magical. And then I moved down, and within the Piltatiz Tribe, what if I move for a month all of their classes to 7 a.m. and just see all the classes that I do are live, but people can watch them back on demand. So I kind of figured, well, if people are working, they can do them before work. And if they don't get up early, they just watch them later. Like it doesn't really matter, but everyone's then got a fresh class every day. So I started doing it, and it was amazing. Like the reaction and the response that I received was so incredible. So I kept doing it, and I'm still doing it with them 18 months later.
Wow.
So all the classes that I teach in there are at 7 a.m. I've got some beautiful girls that come and teach for me as well. They do the classes at 7 a.m. And there are people every single day because they see the benefits of moving first thing. So that was like, I guess, the first conscious part of it. But I've evolved it for myself and what works for me over time, because I'm a bit like that. What can I make work? How do I need it to work? And I think sometimes it's a really good way to start, is being quite rigid with it. So I did the savers every single day. And that is how I start every single morning. Like I wake up, probably eyes closed still, and I just check in with, like, how am I feeling?
Yeah.
What do I need? Deep breaths. And then what are the sensations in my body? Like, do I feel really anxious today? Do I feel like I could jump out of bed and run a marathon? Because that kind of gives me a little bit of direction of where to go next. But I think if everyone could just check in with where they're at first thing in the morning and then allow that to guide them, oh my gosh, your day completely changes.
Yeah, that's a very intuitive way to think. And, you know, we are human beings, so it makes complete and utter sense.
Yeah.
And what I hear there is that you used Hal Elrod's structure, if you like, to start getting out of bed in the morning a bit earlier. And, you know, you dipped into trying those things. And the thing is, I think once you've done the savers for a while, you know which of them works best for you in whatever brain space you're in that day. Or I don't know, just you know which ones are going to really nourish you at different times. And I think that when something does become not so much a habit, but more of almost like hard work because you're having to follow someone else's lead, that is very much the time when you've got to sort of sit back and reflect, okay, what about this is working for me?
Yeah.
And what about it am I going to kind of let go of with grace, without judgment, without being hard on myself? Because that's not going to help how you feel or how you go about your day.
And I found, like, the days that, let's say, I didn't want to read, I then be beating myself up like, oh my God, if I had just read for a minute this morning, my day would be so much better. And it's like, no, just like have a little bit of self-compassion. And I think that's a really important thing, actually, is it doesn't have to be a long thing. You know, you could do 10 seconds of like following your breath.
So you must have noticed some benefits, and I wondered whether you've noticed benefits across your personal and your professional life, or maybe you could just share a couple.
Both. I feel like my personal and professional life merge into one so much.
Yeah.
I think one of my favorite things about having my business is, and it's actually what used to scare me so much, but it's a reflection of me. So actually where I am, my business is at.
Yeah.
And where my business is at is where I'm, like, they're so intertwined. I personally don't think that I can separate them. A good morning routine, well, it's completely changed my life. And whilst it's given me loads of control over my life in terms of like how I feel, how I respond, how I ultimately start the day, that has given me so much freedom and flexibility in life. Like, they're complete opposites, but you need both. Like, you need the container to be able to flow within it. I think of it a bit like a river. Like, you need the banks to direct the water.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, the control to give the flexibility. I mean, even moving down here, that was huge. I have a tendency to get quite anxious, and first thing in the morning is when our cortisol levels are highest.
Yeah.
So, I mean, hundreds of times in my life, I've woken up being like, oh my gosh, like, I feel so anxious. Or not even I feel it, like, just the sensations and the weight and the feeling in my body has almost like drawn me down. But now I've got the awareness of that, and I take the time to be with it. It sometimes is part of my day, but less and less is part of my day. Like, the more time that I spend with it, the more it goes away. It goes back to that like little child analogy. Like, the more love and attention you give to the child, almost the less it needs you. Like, it's very happy because it knows that you're there to always come back to.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the biggest win that I've received from it. I don't have to get so anxious, and I try and start every morning and before I go to bed with appreciation. I'm such a journal addict, but if my journal's not nearby, I just go through it in my head of what is it that I'm so appreciative of at the moment. And that, again, that just like takes your day in a different route completely. And it's so simple, it's so quick. And then it is amazing what starts to just happen. Like I said earlier, the stars just start to align. And I guess on that, in terms of like the appreciation morning and evening, I also feel that your evening routine is just as, if not more important.
Well, they say that the way that you, or the state you're in when you go off to sleep is really, really important. And that's kind of almost where you leave your mind and leave your heart as you go off to sleep.
Day with it.
Yeah. And then that is exactly what you wake up with as well. So yeah, you can reset, even if between the morning routine and you going to bed, you've had all sorts to deal with. The beauty of appreciation and gratitude is that when you're thinking about the things you're so grateful for and appreciative of, you can't really let your mind be caught up in all the other stuff that went on. It's almost like we don't have multiple channels at that point. We really can calm the mind, think about, even if it's the most tiny thing that we appreciate in our life, and that can send us into a really nice place before we close our eyes for the evening.
Yeah, and then you just have a much better night's sleep. Like, you go into that deeper sleep and you wake up feeling amazing.
Wonderful. And also, I was going to ask you if you had any thoughts about people that perhaps didn't feel they were morning people, but you've already covered that as well, which I think is really useful, because it can be quite interesting that people could listen to someone like yourself who's got it sorted, and they really find benefit in their morning routine, and kind of think, oh well, it's all right for her. She's a morning person. She probably has sprung out of bed every day at 5 all her life. But what you did earlier in our conversation there was to say, there was a point where it was probably easier to stay in bed. So I think that will help the people that don't necessarily feel they can change from
And it's
not being
not
a
about
morning.
the time that you wake up. That is completely irrelevant in my eyes.
Yes.
It's about what you do when you wake up.
Yeah.
I am a morning person. I am that irritating person that wakes up at 5:15 most days, but that's not because I set an alarm. Like, that is just when my body wakes up.
Yeah.
I can say about the same about people who are wide awake at 10:30. I'm like, oh my God, I hate you so much. How do you do it?
Yeah.
Because that isn't me. It's, if you wake up at 10, what do you do when you wake up at 10? Time is so irrelevant to it.
So could you offer 3 simple ways that my listeners could just make a gentle step towards creating a little morning routine?
So the best things that I do, I don't set an alarm.
Okay.
I set a timer.
Mm.
So we're told all the time, have 8 hours sleep, which if you work in sleep cycles, that is, I think 5.5 hours sleep. Oh my gosh, my brain's gone dead. Yeah,
That
five and
sounds
a
like
half,
maths.
5.5 sleep cycles.
Yeah.
So you're breaking, if you have your 8 hours, you are waking up halfway through a sleep cycle, so you can wake up feeling quite groggy.
Yeah.
I set a timer for 8 hours when I get into bed, so I've got half an hour to read or journal or whatever it is I do, and then I sleep for 7.5 hours.
Yeah.
And that 7.5 hours ends when the timer goes off. So I then don't put pressure on myself to go to bed at a certain time, because that's just another thing that's going to add stress in the evening.
Awesome.
I know that, I mean, if I start teaching at 7, I know that I need to be out of bed by 6:45. I just have to run downstairs. Dreamy. So yeah, I can work back from that. But yeah, 7.5 hours and a timer I find is more beneficial than an alarm clock.
Yep. Thank you.
That would be probably number 1. 2, prepare the night before. So one of my favorite things to do first thing is just have a mug of lemon and hot water. So when I go to bed, I have a cup of chamomile tea and morning lemon and hot water. So when I'm making my chamomile tea, I chop up my lemon, I put it in just a bit of hot water. So in the morning, I can just top it up so I can drink it straight away.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like best of both at once.
Yeah.
And then 3, I think be kind to yourself, because there are days that you do not want to get up. I have days that I would much rather get in bed, like just stay in bed and hide under the duvet. But just totally own that.
Yeah.
Rather than beating yourself up that you're finding it hard, totally own that you're finding it hard. And like really love that part of you that's finding it hard. And then before you know it, it's set free.
Yeah.
If I can add an extra one, because I like to break the rules, it would be when you wake up, pause, breathe, check in. How do you feel? What do you need?
Yeah. I love that. And that really speaks to what you were saying about, not being so rigid as well, because to do that, to pause and breathe and just see where you're at, where you find yourself that day, is to then give yourself the perfect morning routine at that moment in your life. And that in itself, I think it's a great benefit to a morning routine. There's a positive cycle. We talked about a vicious cycle earlier, but there's a really positive one, that then inspires you to continue your morning routine, because you know that by listening, you're going to, find your way in the most authentic way possible. And if on those mornings when it doesn't feel like it's something you want to do, maybe just give yourself a big hug in bed and just give yourself.
My gosh, that's one of my favorite things to do in the morning. Just like give yourself a hug. And if I'm honest, there have been days that I've got up, days gone wrong. I've actually gone back to bed to be like, right, I'm actually going to start this again.
Absolutely.
You can start it as many times as you need to during the day.
Yeah. I've spoken about, little afternoon naps I take
I love a nap
before, and, they recharge you, and no one needs to tell you what is right and what is wrong.
You shouldn't have a nap.
Yeah.
You could, shoulda, woulda, coulda. Back to that one.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda. Izzy, I'm going to come to the questions that I like to ask at the end or towards the end of each conversation, because I do find it fascinating, and I know my listeners do too, and very relatable to hear, how we all find this working for ourselves kind of vibe. Would you be able to share with us the toughest thing about working for yourself?
Toughest thing about working for myself is I sometimes think that taking, like, fully owning what happens and taking responsibility for it, because you have no one else that you can blame.
No,
I mean, you can try and blame everyone else, but if we go back to the, like, you are your business, they are completely intertwined. You are your business.
Yeah, it's quite grown up, isn't it?
It is, yeah, very scary. No, it's exciting. But I with that, every situation that now happens, I look at it as a reflection of myself. So when things aren't happening as quickly as I want them to, or I'm losing clients, whatever it is, I'm like, what is it in me? Like, what message am I putting out there internally that is blocking those things? And then I go on the most fabulous journeys down these little rabbit holes of, oh, okay, so whatever isn't happening, and I think that people don't want to see people win. Am I telling myself that I don't want to see people win? Oh my God, I'm telling myself that I don't want to see people win. Like, that is just ridiculous. It's like such a subconscious thing.
Yeah.
How can I expect anyone else to want to see it?
I love that. Taking that time, investing it in yourself and your business to unpick things a little bit. And yeah, maybe that's not the normal role of a traditional CEO, but actually that's what we have to do. So well done for not only admitting the tough, but talking around how you do go about untangling it and then continuing on your path. That's really brilliant. And the final question I like to ask on my podcast is around, how does she do it? Because I really don't believe that she does do it all. Is there one thing that you do or that you don't do anymore to ensure that you remain on track and healthy and happy?
I think it is going back to the taking the responsibility, and that it can be the most uncomfortable ego bashing thing that you can do. And I've started to take it like quite seriously now, because I would be looking at situations of being like, well, this hasn't happened and this hasn't grown and I wanted this to happen and this and this, and that, like, victimhood. And then I was like, so what's the common denominator here? It's me.
Yeah.
And it's hard to look at yourself like that, but so much stress just dissolves from your life because you're not blaming people and you aren't upset by other people. It's like, okay, I can be upset by myself, but I've got control over myself and I can work out what I need, what support do I need, what, like, help, who do I need to speak to solve those things.
Thank you for your honesty there. It's very vulnerable, and in itself is beautiful, and it's going to resonate so much with everyone that listens to this. Oh my goodness, it's been so wonderful to chat today. I was going to say we could chat for hours, but we absolutely could, and we absolutely do. I'm so grateful that we do. I'm so glad that we've found each other. That in itself was synchronicity, I think. And it's just wonderful to have another open conversation and share, because when we work for ourselves, it can be very isolated at times. And so for you to share with other business owners and women out there will have helped them today. And I don't doubt that it will have helped you as well by putting the words out there. Before we wrap up the conversation, I would love you to let my listeners know if you've got anything you'd like to share with them and promote.
Yeah, so probably the easiest way to find me and the bits that I'm doing is on Facebook. I'm at Izi Friend, so IZI, and then friend as in friend. I have to clarify that a little bit because people get confused. So I've got my Pilates platform. I do lots of coaching with the most beautiful souls. If you're in Cornwall and local, I'm literally about to open an early morning boot camp, but that is a completely different story for another day. Yeah, so come and say hey, and I just love to hear people's stories and support them along the way.
Yeah, wonderful. I'll pop the links to your group and everything in the show notes. And all that's left to say is thank you so much for coming and being so open and honest and so you today. It's been an absolute honor to have you on the podcast.
I am so grateful for being here. It's magical. Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening today. I really hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, I'd love you to take a moment to share and subscribe too. Come and join me over at How Does She Do It Life on both Facebook and Instagram. And until we speak again, I wish you a wonderful week ahead.